the rhythm of the words that make sense to me. And of course, when you're playing bass, and I'm also playing foot pedals and samples, all those things kind of have to fall in. And so it's not like I'm trying to sound like that. I'm just trying to fit things that are natural to me. And if it comes off that way, well, I'm sorry.
No, it's not a criticism. I think it's because I can imagine if you're doing 3 or 4 things at once, you can't be thinking too hard. It's got to be almost a autopilot subliminal thing. After all the requiring tons of rehearsal, obviously, to internalize it. But it's
well, what we've been doing, what our kind of deal is that we get together, we write stuff together in the rehearsal room, and once we're happy with the music, I'll take a little demo, and then I'll work on the lyrics, and I'll demo the lyrics and make sure the guys like it. And once we're all happy with that, then we'll go ahead and record it. And once we do that final recording, things change a little bit here and there, and then when we go to play live, that's what we're trying to read. We're trying to capture what we recorded.
All right. So that's a little different. You don't go for super layering and production in the studio, but then,
Oh no, there's plenty of that in the studio. There's plenty of that, because I kind of feel like if you're going to take the time to record it, if you're going to put some layers in there that you can't do live, well, you're going to compensate. You might come up a little bit short, but if you're going to make a record and people are going to listen to it in their home or in their car or on their iPod, whatever, put the stuff on there to fill it out. And there's bass pedals and different synthesizers and stuff. I mean, we've tried to have keyboard players along the way, and it's tough. It's tough to keep people interested. So that's why I like the 3-piece. It's very easy to manage.
Low maintenance, right?
Low maintenance, and the drummer, Dave Lane, he lives right down the road from me. Mike, he lives, 8-10 miles from here. So it's good. We're all close, and we're close friends too. So that makes a huge difference. It's just not a business kind of thing.
No, I hear you. That's excellent. Let's break to listen to a full-length cut from the band's album Mirage. This tune is called Serene.
Somewhere in the distance
it's interesting. The first tune that shows up on your MySpace page is this tune "Shine a Light," and it sounds nothing like Rush at all. It harkens to some like kind of almost hippie throwback feel good rock. What is the how come?
Okay, I can tell you. One night I was laying in bed, and I heard this little chord progression, and I got up and grabbed my guitar, just an acoustic guitar, just so I could figure out what I was hearing. And I wrote it down real quick, and some of the words came to me right there. So I just wrote it down, didn't think too much about it, went back to bed. Next day I came home from work, and I looked at it, and I started playing it. I was just like, wow, there's a tune here. Huh. And even though it doesn't sound anything like Rush, I just went ahead and, we recorded it anyway, and we finished it, and we're just like, this is a pretty cool tune, Wow. And we've gotten a lot of compliments on that song, and we've even joked, we're like, boy, we should just write a whole record like that,
That's funny. It's you could be accused of bait and switch if you lure people in with that kind of tune and then throw the Rush type prog stuff on them.
Yeah.
The chord progression, I dig it, and it's that weird stepwise progression which doesn't follow the normal falling fifths type of approach for most music, and it took me forever to place it. I knew I had kind of heard it, and Melissa, the Allman Brothers Band.
Absolutely.
Did you, that was probably subliminal?
I didn't even realize that then until somebody pointed that out to me, and I was like, yeah, it's that, and it's also the beginning of, what is it, Your Move, Yes.
Yeah, it's a couple of ones. That one too. Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, at least it's not like the E A D progression, which is I can name probably 30 songs off the top of my head.
Yeah. It's got that jangly. It's just an E major chord, and then you go up 2 frets, and then 2 more frets, and then you arrive at A. 1 more fret up, and that's basically all the chords that are in there. But it sounds really good. It's got a good feel to it, and like I say, that was pointed out to me after we finished it. A friend of mine was just like, that kind of sounds like the Allman Brothers, dude. And I was like, well, it's done. I mean, it's not like I woke up out of a sleep and ripped off the Allman Brothers. It just that came to me, and we rolled with it.
Yeah. Well, someone said, Schoenberg said, there's still great music to be written in the key of C. This from a guy who didn't do tonal music. So, and I'm sorry if I keep dumping my impressions of the music, because but before I do more, the whole subject of who sounds like what and your identity is probably something you think about a lot with the roots that your band has and the tribute band for Rush. But aside from Rush, what other influences do you have? You mentioned Yes, so that, I mean, other prog bands or what?
Oh, absolutely. Yes was a huge one. It was Rush and Yes right from the beginning, and even my grandfather. I said to him, I was just like, I want to get a bass, and he was always like super supportive of music. He was a musician himself, and he's like, all right, let's go down to the music store and get you a bass. So first bass I got was a Rickenbacker. Mm-hmm. But other bands, Genesis, Gentle Giant, of course, they're incredible. I still listen to that stuff quite a bit. I like the band Camel. I don't know if you're familiar with them. And the other guys in the band always make fun of me for listening to them, but they're a really super melodic band. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think. It's like the classic progressive rock is really my thing, and I try to keep up with what's going on around us, because we're in the present here, and we're a band that's here today. So I try to keep an ear to what's going on. And you mentioned that we have a harder edge, but to me, I think that we're still pretty mellow, compared to some of the harder edge stuff that goes on. Oh,
true. When I said harder edge, it's by comparison these days not that hard. But comparison to the classic days of prog rock, it's pretty hard.
Right, right. So I think that we're just, and those bands, Yes, Rush, Genesis, Gentle Giant, the other guys in the group are big fans of that music as well. So,
what do you think of kind of the new progressive music? There's a lot of really, really cool and interesting stuff out there. It is tend to be more aggressive. The virtuosity, but I think particularly in the drum side, I mean, it's nuts these days. What do you get into any of it at all, or what? No.
I have. Well, a good friend of mine that I used to play with is Jason Bittner, and he plays in Shadows Fall. He's from Schenectady. I don't know if you're familiar with Shadows Fall.
No.
They're pretty popular metal band, and they're doing really great, and they're touring all over the world, and we used to play with Jason a lot, and Jason is one of these guys, he has a column in Modern Drummer every month, and he's like super good, and he was always trying to get us to like super double bass and double bass drum, and trying to get us to like get into the metal thing, and I don't know, man, I had a hard time with it. It's not really my thing. And another friend of mine who's a very good drummer, Mike Mumblow, he played with us in the Hemispheres band. He's a huge Dream Theater fan, and he lived with me for a while, and man, he would play that stuff every day, and I think he kind of turned me off to it, because I would hear it, and it was just like, it was more like a sporting event than it was, music to me. But, I don't want to sound derogatory about that stuff, because...
You can, that's fine.
They're a huge band, and they have a huge following, so that's just my opinion. That's all.
Isn't the saying about them? They're 90% of their audience is other musicians. They're fans.
I totally believe that. But I think the same thing holds true, with like Rush and even Yes to a degree. I mean, I think that music influenced a lot of people. I think people heard that music and they were just like, this is something that's different. This is not, your regular stuff that you're going to hear on rock radio. And I think it resonated with a lot of people. And
yeah.
I'm sure that Rickenbacker and sold a lot of basses based, on Geddy Lee and Chris Squire. People going, yeah, I want to play like that,
Is that what you play still?
No, I play a Fender jazz bass only because it's a little bit easier to get around on than a Rickenbacker, but I've got a Rick and I use it quite a bit for recording.
Your bass, I'm sorry to do this again. I love your bass sound, and in the production in general, I think is awesome. And